What's up, party people, and welcome back to my channel. So we're doing another this or that where I compare similar makeup, and today we're doing another drugstore themed this or that. I started this series because I feel like there's just an overabundance of makeup and it gets really confusing and overwhelming when you go in the store and you're looking around, or if you're browsing the websites and you're going page after page and it's just like, oh my God, everything looks the same. So without further ado, let's compare some drugstore makeup and figure out what is the best. So I don't have an eyeshadow that I wanted to compare today. So all I did was put on an eye primer, a cream bronzer in my crease, and I set that, and I did a little cream eyeshadow champagne in the inner corner. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump to mascara. I'm comparing an old favorite to a new favorite. So I'm comparing the Maybelline Lash Sensational to the new Essence Lash Like a Boss mascara. So the reason I'm comparing these is, number one, the wands are very similar. That was actually the first thing I noticed about the Lash Like a Boss when I tried it not too long ago. It has the same kind of curved wand as the Lash Sensational, and I also felt like the way it applied the mascara, the way it built up, and also just the way it looked my lashes was very similar to the Maybelline one. Okay, there actually is a difference between the wands. So over here is the Maybelline, and then over here is the Essence. So the Maybelline one's a little bit shorter, it's more stumpy, it's a little bit fatter. The Essence one kind of reminds me more, honestly, of the Benefit Roller Lash Mascara wand. I feel like the length, the width of it, just the diameter of the wand, I feel like it kind of reminds me more of this one. So I kind of want to do a comparison of those two. There's one coat of Maybelline Lash Sensational. So I'm going to go ahead and apply one layer of the Essence on this side too, just so we can compare what one layer of each one looks like. I'm a little surprised because I've always looked at the Maybelline as the superior mascara of all mascaras. Like, this is kind of my go-to. I didn't realize I would see as much of a competition for it. Oh my God. I feel like they're the same kind of like middle of the road consistency where they're not too wet that they just get all over my eyelid and just transfer a lot, but they're also not so dry that as you try to layer it up and build it, it just starts flaking and crumbling and it just doesn't build on itself. Like, that's one thing that I really appreciate about both of these. They build and layer very, very well. All right, there are two coats of each mascara. I feel like the Maybelline one may give more thickness and volume, and then the Essence one gives a little more lift and length. I think they're both beautiful. I love the intensities of them. I love just how they both look so fanned out. Like, they really do give that fanned out effect. Now, I will say I've never had any wear issues with the Maybelline one, like transferring, smearing, smudging, flaking, like no wear issues whatsoever. This is a very, very long lasting formula. And I feel like the Essence one is pretty long lasting, but there have been times when I've noticed flaking. If you're looking for longevity though, this one has never failed me. Next up, we're comparing some skin tints. And I feel like I don't really hear a lot of people talk about either one of these. You can find both of these at Target. So the first one is the Pixi H2O Skin Tint Tinted Face Gel, and the other one is the new No. 7 Hydro Luminous Aqua Release Skin Perfector Tinted Moisturizer. And I'm pretty sure both of these are water-based. I know the Pixi one is because it says it in the description. No. 7 doesn't say that in the description. They both have silicones in them though, so it's kind of hard to tell when something's a water-based formula when it also contains silicones, so I'll let you be the judge of that. But yeah, starting with the Pixi H2O Skin Tint Foundation. So this is $24 at Target, so it's kind of pricey. It's a little up there. The shades are pretty impressive for it to be a skin tint. I feel like you don't really see this kind of shade selection for skin tints. It says water-based tinted face gel evens out skin tone and gives complexion a flawless, no makeup look. Contains antioxidant rich green tea, moisturizing rose water, soothing English chamomile, and relaxing lavender. Hydrating, long-lasting, and water-resistant, suitable for all skin types, fragrance-free and paraben-free. Moving over to the No. 7 Hydro Luminous. This is about $15 at Target, so yeah, a little bit cheaper, but the shade range is horrid. Provides an instant surge of hydration for up to 8 hours with sheer to light coverage that melts seamlessly into the skin. Aqua Release, that's so hard to say. Aqua Release microbeads release instant radiance and all-day hydration. Once again, sheer to light coverage, available in 6 shades. Yay. Contains ceramides, which create a barrier to prevent water loss and retain skin hydration level. Pro Vitamin B5, which is ultra moisturizing that attracts and holds water within the skin. And True Ginseng. I don't know what true ginseng is, but ginseng, which enhances skin nutrition. See, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the Pixi one. So here's what the shade Nude looks like. And for me, I feel like this is a pretty dang good match. So I like to apply this. Oh, I hope you guys saw what I had to cover up. I've got a lot to cover up today. But yeah, this is one that I feel like applies a lot better with your fingers, but actually, like, it's one that I didn't like when I first started using it, or I didn't like it at first glance, because whenever you apply it, it can look kind of streaky, but like the longer you sit with it, like the longer it sits on your skin, the more it just kind of marries with your skin and unifies and whatnot, and all the streakiness, or if there's any kind of fingerprints or anything left behind, just kind of goes away and disappears. It's very, very odd. Like you can see, actually I'm not sure if you can, it's so watery and like it looks very odd at first. Something I've liked doing with this is, you know, completely laying it down and spreading it out with my fingers and then going into either a brush or a sponge once it's had time to kind of dry down a little bit and do some finishing touches and do some extra blending. Like I feel like that makes it look a lot better, because if you start out with a brush or a sponge, it's just, I don't think it's going to work for you. I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit more down here. And this isn't one that gives full coverage or anything. Like I feel like this really is the epitome, like the definition of what a skin tint should be. Like it just kind of gives you an even veil. I'm gonna zoom you guys in so you can see how this is sitting on the pores, because it truly is the most skin-like face product I think I've ever tried. It is not detectable on the skin at all. Like it truly up close looks like I've just got moisturizer on. But yeah, I'll let this dry completely and then we'll go back into a second layer with a brush and just try to build it up on the areas where I have some more blemishes back there. So let's go and move on to the number 7 on this side. And for the sake of controlling my variables, I'm gonna go ahead and wash my phalanges and I'll be right back. And I just want to point out that there is no line of demarcation from this side to this side. It is completely seamless. Like this is something that truly meshes into your skin and you don't see where your skin starts and the product stops. Right off the bat, the shade Light for me is not as good as the shade Nude in the Pixie one. I will say though, I feel like the Pixie one kind of melted in faster than this one is. It's a very similar, you know, hydrating, moisturizing, luminous kind of finish. It does look pretty skin-like. It's not doing anything weird over my pores or anything. Like it just looks like skin. So I've been sitting here for at least 10 minutes now. I feel like they look almost identical. I do think there is some more coverage with the Pixie one. I definitely feel like this one is more buildable than the number 7. I feel like the number 7 is pretty much stuck at a very, very sheer light coverage. So if you want more coverage, I would say go with the Pixie one. But like I said, I'm just gonna go in with a brush on both sides and try to build up the coverage around this area where I have acne. And I'm not gonna make any cuts. I want you guys to see how this goes on and builds up. So that surprisingly does build coverage. It's a really high light coverage. It just kind of evens everything out, but it looks like skin. So same thing, putting it on the back of my hand, picking it up with that same brush and tapping over those areas where I have acne. And once again, it is building up a little bit. Looking a little streaky at first, but it did mesh in pretty well. So I feel like the levels are about the same. So moving on to brows, I have 2 brow gels that came out around the exact same time. We have the Maybelline Tattoo Studio 36-Hour Wear Brow Styling Gel and the L'Oreal Infallible Brows 24-Hour Volumizing Mascara. So starting with the Maybelline Tattoo Studio Brow Gel. So this is $13.99 at Ulta. L'Oreal one is $14.99 at Ulta. So good grief, why are these brow gels so expensive? So this one has 7 shades versus the Maybelline one having 6, so slightly better. The wands definitely are different styles. So the Maybelline one is more of your traditional brow wand, like kind of like, it's a little bit more of a thicker version of the Benefit Brow Gel. But the L'Oreal one is pretty different. It's kind of curved and it's got like a fat, chubby side where the bristles are longer towards the bottom. From the Maybelline one, I got the shade Soft Brown, which is a really good match for me. And then the L'Oreal one, I got the shade Light Brunette, which I've not really used this one a whole lot. Like I've used the Maybelline one a whole lot more. But there's what the Maybelline one looks like. So perfect shade for me. It's not too wet, it's not too dry, it doesn't get all over my skin like around the brows. It's not super messy or anything. Like I feel like it goes exactly where it should. Very, very nice formula, and this is something that gives me enough color and feel that I don't feel like I have to go into a separate brow product like a brow pencil or a brow powder and do extra filling, unless I'm just having a bad brow week or brow month where I've got some sparseness or a big gap, like I'm over tweezed. Moving on to the L'Oreal Infallible. Again, the shade is Light Brunette. Right out the gate, I do feel like the bristles in this are a lot sharper. Like this one just felt like a normal soft brow wand, but this one, I feel like the bristles are a tad bit more pointy. That's a good color too. I don't know if my brows on this side are longer or what, but I feel like they're more fluffy than the Maybelline one. Is that me? It's not messy. It doesn't get everywhere but my brows. That's a really nice feel too. I feel like the L'Oreal side does a better job at kind of like pushing the brow hairs up. I feel like I'm getting more lift and more, I don't know if I would say more hold. maybe a little more hold with the L'Oreal one. So yeah, to be continued. We'll come back to this. Moving on to concealer. We're comparing the Kimchi The Most Concealer with the OG LA Girl HD Pro Concealer. But yeah, the first thing I thought when I tried this concealer, and I actually tried a bunch of the products in this video. I did like a full face of Kimchi, so make sure you check that out there. I also do a wear test in that one. But yeah, the first thing I thought of was that this reminds me of the LA Girl concealer. And I don't know if that's actually because of the formula or just the fact that they both have a brush tip, but we're gonna see today. But it says, this buildable full coverage and water resistant concealer can be used for any of the fours: conceal, cover, correct, and contour. And it says it has a satin and matte hybrid finish that will last all day. And what's cool about this is that it comes with an enormous amount of product. This is 18 grams of product for 11 or 12 bucks, and the LA Girl one has 8 grams of product. I mean, it looks like a big tube, but I feel like sometimes the packaging, like the outer packaging, can be kind of deceiving, but no. There's actually a lot in here. So moving over to the LA Girl concealer. So this is normally at Ulta $5.49. LA Girl goes on sale all the time. So like right now, for example, it's $3.84. So you can always find a sale with this one. So there are 30 shades at Ulta in the LA Girl concealer. They go very fair, very dark, but they also have different color correctors as well. So they've got pretty much every color corrector you can think of. But it says lightweight, creamy texture, long wearing, crease resistant formula. So yeah, here's the shade Natural in the LA Girl line. So I'm gonna be using this for under my eyes. And I'm not even squeezed out product in the Kimchi concealer, so let's see what this looks like. Okay, ooh, they look very similar. Okay, so yeah, very, very peachy, but it is called Peach Fuzz, so I kind of expected that. But I've kind of been into a more peachy undertone concealer, like kind of doubling as a color corrector and a concealer. So yeah, there's the LA Girl in the shade Natural and Peach Fuzz in the Kimchi concealer. So let's see, I'm gonna do the Kimchi one on this side, and what I learned with the other shades that I got is that you do not need much. I'll also go ahead and apply the LA Girl one on this side. And yes, I applied more of the LA Girl one because I know that this one doesn't go as far. So I'm gonna use this AOA Studio F9 brush. I love this thing for concealer. It's so good, I'll link it below. But I'm gonna start off on the Kimchi side and blend that out all the way up above my cheekbone. So luckily, I think we finally found a shade match. Whatever, I'm just gonna wipe off the excess product on the back of my hand. We'll just use this as a paper towel. But yeah, now going into the LA Girl one. But see, look at this. It kind of lightens up and changes tone. Not really changes tone, but it looks a little bit different. Like it looks a little bit lighter when you start blending out versus whenever you swatch it and look at it in the tube. I may have put on too much though. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. I have no wear issues with this whatsoever. It looks so creamy, so milky. It never looks dry, it never looks cakey, crepey. It doesn't age my under eyes. It doesn't emphasize like the milia. It covers extremely well. It's very buildable. So, oh my God, they look the exact same right now. Like the way they blended out was super similar. The finishes are very similar. Once again, something I've said after every product I've talked about is I'm gonna let this sit here. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the other products. We'll come back to it and see how they continue to set down, if they crease. So, moving on. Now let's talk bronzers. So I've talked about both of these a little bit on my channel, but I did just talk about this one in a recent, like, I don't know, best drugstore makeup or some kind of video. I don't know. I'll put it up here. I can't keep track of what I'm doing. But we're comparing the Makeup Revolution Ultra Cream Bronzer to the Moira Stay Golden Cream Bronzer. And I have the shade Light in both of them. So the Makeup Revolution Ultra Cream Bronzer is $8 at Ulta. I feel like the shades that they do have, even if it is only 3, is actually pretty universal. And then the Moira Stay Golden Cream Bronzer is $12.99 on Amazon. And they have 4 shades in this one, or at least on Amazon anyway. I feel like the tones of them are pretty similar, but you can definitely see a finish difference and like a texture difference. The Makeup Revolution one definitely looks more like creamy. It looks like it's going to be more of a dewy finish and just very shiny in the pan, whereas the Moira one looks more matte in the jar. So yeah, that's the difference I see in the two just right off the bat. So yeah, Moira and Makeup Revolution. So I feel like the Makeup Revolution, when it's swatched, like it has more of like a cool tone aspect to it. I wouldn't call this a cool tone bronzer, but like it just has more of that coolness to it, and like they're both kind of neutral, but I feel like the Moira one leans more on the warm side. Yeah, let's go ahead and apply the Makeup Revolution one on this side. Yeah, it blends and sinks right in, and it just looks so skin-like. Like it just looks like you went to the beach. It's just such a pretty tone. So it does have some dewiness to the finish. So if you have super, super oily skin, you may not like that. Like you actually may prefer the finish and the texture of the Moira more, but I don't really have any wear issues with this. And going into the Moira on this side. So yeah, there's definitely more of like a stiffness and like like a thickness to this one in terms of it's not as creamy and emollient as a Makeup Revolution one. But again, very pigmented, still pretty creamy. Like it's not like I have a problem with drag or blending or anything. But I would say if I had to choose, I would actually probably choose the Revolution one. I feel like this one, it looks more seamless against my skin tone. For me, this one looks more in your face. Moving on to contour. So I have the Milani Conceal and Perfect Liquid Contour and the e.l.f. Halo Glow Contour Beauty Wand. These are both that sponge tip applicator kind of product. They're very similar to the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Wands. I think that's what they're trying to be anyway. So yeah, the Milani one is $10.99 at Ulta. They have 4 shades. I have the shade Honey. And then the e.l.f. one is $9 at Ulta. And pretty much everywhere else you can find these e.l.f. Beauty Wands. And they have 5 shades. I have the shade Light Medium in this one. And this one also is a very good contour shade for my skin tone. So let's start with the Milani one on this side. So I'm just going to put it right here in the hollow. So there's what that color looks like. Once again, that's the shade Honey. I feel like calling something Honey that's supposed to be a cool tone isn't the most accurate name. It's not too cool tone. Like there's a little bit of a neutrality to it to where it doesn't look like dirt. And as you can see, it just completely melts in. Like there's no effort to be put in, really. I feel like these have really gotten overshadowed by the release of the e.l.f. Halo Glow ones. Like they came out around the same time. Moving on to the e.l.f. one on this side. So yeah, I feel like this one's a tad bit more cool tone, but again, not too cool tone to where it looks like dirt and mud. Still a very wearable kind of shade and very easy to make work. But there's what the e.l.f. one looks like. So I feel like that next to the really warm, look at that. This is what we don't want. Now that I'm looking at it, I feel like the Moira one is maybe I applied too much of the bronzer, or maybe it's just too warm for my skin tone. I feel like this looks like a lot. Yeah, there's what the e.l.f. contour looks like. So I definitely feel like it does the job that it's supposed to do. Like it definitely shades, blends out very, very well. These last really well too. The Milani Conceal and Perfect line, I feel like this lasts extremely well on my skin. Along those same lines, we are comparing the liquid highlighters in both of these lines. So I have the Milani Conceal and Perfect liquid highlighter in the shade Lunar and the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand highlight in the shade Champagne. These have the exact same applicator, like the sponge tip, as the other ones. Like everything in these lines, they look just like this. I just realized I didn't swatch the contour side by side. But yeah, there is Milani and here is e.l.f. So yeah, very, very similar in the tones too, but just slightly different. And then here is Milani in the shade Lunar, and here is Champagne in e.l.f. So I feel like Champagne's a tad bit brighter and a little bit lighter, but once again, those formulas, they're so similar. Honestly, if I didn't know any better, I would say these are from the same line, like same product, just different shades, because the finish, the amount of shimmer in them, the sheen, they look so much alike. Starting off with the Milani highlighter right here, and this one is pretty gold for my liking. It's the only one that would really work for my skin tone though, so they don't have the best shades. But yeah, as you can see, like it definitely is a light gold and it blends out very, very well. It doesn't look too like it looks very natural. Like it doesn't look like I'm wearing a separate highlighter. It lasts very, very well. Like this is one that if I want to make sure I can trust it throughout the day, like if I'm going to be outside or if it's going to be a long day, like I want to make sure my makeup lasts, then this is one that I'll usually go for, and it just looks really natural. Moving over to the e.l.f. one, I'm gonna do the exact same thing and dot this on. I will say this is one, like color wise, that I would be more drawn to, but I feel like this one, like the blend, I feel like it does dry down a little bit faster, so you have to work a little bit faster at blending than you do with the Milani one. Once again, you get sheen and glow, but like it doesn't look like a stripe right here. Like it doesn't look like you purposely applied highlighter, you know? I like the shade better of the e.l.f. one, but I think I like the wear better of the Milani one. I'm just gonna do the Milani Lip Plumper in the shade Rosy Bronze. It's a nice, like, you don't need a lip liner kind of thing. So now let's go ahead and do a final roundup, final conclusion, like Jerry's final thought. The mascaras, I think I'm gonna have to ultimately choose the Maybelline Lash Sensational. Even though the effect of this, like you could definitely say this looks better in terms of it's longer, my lashes are more lifted and elongated. Like this one gives me no wear issues whatsoever. The fact that this one doesn't wear as good on me kind of gets it some points knocked off. Foundation products, again, this is a hard one because they look so similar. I trust the Pixie one more. I've had this one in my collection longer. The fact that the color's better for me also gets it some bonus points. And then also the shade range in general just is way better. This one I know I can throw on very quickly, run out the door. I'm gonna have some coverage. I don't have to use brushes or sponges or anything. I can just use my fingers, which is very rare. They feel a lot alike, but there are some differences when it comes to blending. Like I do feel like this one has more of a setting down than the number 7 one does. The brow gels. So as I said earlier, I was gonna come back and touch them and feel them. So when I do like this, they feel the exact same. They don't feel like glue. They don't feel sticky or tacky or anything. I feel like the L'Oreal one may give more definition. So yeah, we'll go with L'Oreal for right now just because I've got more definition and the wand is unique. I don't know. I really don't think you could go wrong with either one of these. Concealers. So I've not done anything outside of this video. I've not applied setting powder. I've not done setting spray. Like everything you see on my face is what I've done on camera. They look eerily similar. You get more product with this one. So if you're looking at it from a financial standpoint where like you want your products to take you further into your life, then I would say go with the kimchi one, but I trust the LA Girl one. I know how it wears. So yeah, I think that LA Girl is my pick, but that could change in the future. We don't know. Bronzers, I think I've decided that I like the Makeup Revolution one better just because of the tone. Contours, I think I might have to go with the Milani one just because, again, I've worn this one longer and I always reach for this one more. Like I've had these in my collection for about the same amount of time, but I feel like I'm always pulling towards the Milani one. And I feel like that kind of speaks for itself. For highlighters, I trust the longevity of the Milani one more, but I feel like for my skin and like the amount of brightness I like in my highlighters, I like the e.l.f. shade more. So I guess I'm gonna choose the e.l.f. one. That is it for this drugstore comparison. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give this video a big old thumbs up if you like it, if you want to see more in this playlist. Speaking of playlist, here is my entire this or that playlist where I compare things. So make sure you check it out if you want some more content to enjoy. Subscribe if you're not already and turn the notification bell on to always see my stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah.